That furniture is illegal. I'm calling the police. Eleanor jabs a finger at my lawn chairs. I lean against my doorframe. Illegal? It's two chairs, Eleanor. Since when is that a crime? The officer steps out of his car looking baffled. You called us over patio furniture? Eleanor puffs out her chest. Yes, it violates community standards. The officer shakes his head. Ma'am, that's not a crime. He gestures to the chairs. That's just your opinion. It started as an ordinary Saturday morning. I had just finished setting up a new patio furniture set I'd been saving for. Sleek metal frames with deep navy cushions and a matching glass-top table. After weeks of hunting sales, I was proud of the find. I poured myself a cup of coffee, stretched out on one of the chairs, and enjoyed the warm sunlight filtering through the maple trees. My peace didn't last long. Across the street, I noticed Eleanor, the HOA board member who always seemed to have a clipboard in hand, marching toward my driveway. Her lips were pursed tight, her eyes fixed on my backyard as if she were staring down an enemy line. Good morning, Eleanor, I called, trying to sound cheerful. Her reply was sharp. Good morning. Do you think this is appropriate? Those chairs, that table. You can't just plop down whatever you like. This community has rules. I set down my mug. Patio furniture? Really? It's in my backyard. Eleanor lifted her chin. It's illegal. I couldn't help laughing. Illegal? Since when did patio furniture become a crime? I'll be contacting the police, she snapped, scribbling something on her clipboard. You'll see. The HOA won't tolerate violations of this magnitude. I thought she was bluffing. But less than an hour later, a squad car pulled up in front of my house. Two officers stepped out, one older and calm, the other younger and visibly confused about why they were there. Eleanor stormed toward them. Officers! Thank goodness you came. This resident is in clear violation of community law. He's installed unauthorized furniture on his property. The older officer blinked. Unauthorized furniture? Yes, she insisted, pointing dramatically at my backyard. It's not pre-approved. It ruins the uniform aesthetic. It's illegal. The younger officer struggled not to laugh. He looked at me, then at Eleanor, then back at me. Sir, is this about your patio chairs? I crossed my arms. Apparently so. I didn't realize chairs were contraband. Eleanor threw her hands up. Don't mock me. This community has standards. Standards that keep property values high. If we allow him to get away with this, what's next? Neon hammocks? Inflatable pools? The older officer sighed. Ma'am, with all due respect, illegal refers to violations of the law. There's nothing in state law or city ordinance that makes patio furniture a crime. Eleanor's face flushed deep red. You don't understand. The HOA rules clearly state... HOA rules aren't criminal law, the officer interrupted firmly. They're civil agreements. If you have an issue, you bring it up in a board meeting or through a civil complaint, not by calling the police. For a moment, silence fell. I could see neighbors gathering at their windows and even stepping outside, curious about the commotion. Eleanor looked around, realizing her grand show was being witnessed. This is outrageous, she sputtered. You officers are supposed to enforce the law. And we are, the older officer said patiently. But this isn't the law. It's a neighborhood dispute. Unless you believe a crime has been committed, we can't and won't get involved. The younger officer added with a smirk, pretty sure these chairs aren't on the list of contraband items. Laughter rippled from a few of the neighbors watching nearby. Eleanor's jaw tightened. You'll regret this, she hissed at me before storming off. The officers turned back to me. Sorry for the trouble, sir, the older one said. This isn't the first time we've had calls like this from an HOA rep. Sometimes folks confuse rules with laws. No worries, I replied. Thanks for setting the record straight. The younger officer chuckled. Nice chairs, by the way. My wife's been wanting a set like that. After they left, I thought it was over, but Eleanor wasn't one to admit defeat quietly. The next day, a notice appeared taped to my door. Violation, unauthorized patio furniture. Remove immediately or face escalating fines. I crumpled it in my hand. This time I wasn't going to let her intimidation stand. I did my research, pulling up the HOA bylaws. Buried in the pages of legal jargon, I found the section on exterior modifications. Patio furniture was not even listed. The rules applied to permanent structures, sheds, fences, decks, not removable furniture. Armed with proof, I attended the next HOA board meeting. The community center was packed thanks to word spreading about Eleanor's latest crusade. She sat at the front, her clipboard resting like a sword across her lap. "Let's begin," she announced, glaring at me. "First order of business, unauthorized furniture." I stood up. "Before you waste everyone's time, I'd like to read directly from the bylaws." I flipped to the highlighted page and began to recite Article 4, Section 7, approval required for permanent exterior structures or modifications. Patio furniture is not listed. A murmur swept through the room. Neighbors craned their necks to see my copy of the bylaws. Eleanor's eyes darted, but she tried to recover. "That's open to interpretation." "Interpretation," I said, my voice rising. "You called the police on me. You tried to tell everyone I was breaking the law. Now we all see it for what it is, an abuse of power." From the back of the room, a voice called, "Yeah!" "Enough with these made-up rules." Another neighbor added, "She's wasting everyone's time." The board members shifted uncomfortably. Finally, the treasurer spoke up. "Eleanor, the bylaws are clear. Patio furniture isn't subject to approval. We can't fine him for something that isn't prohibited." Eleanor's face crumpled. But it ruins the aesthetic." The secretary shook her head. "We can't enforce personal taste as law. This matter is closed." The applause that followed was loud enough to echo. Eleanor shrank in her chair, her power slipping as the neighbors realized how far she had gone. In the aftermath, the dynamic of the neighborhood began to change. People grew bolder, questioning the arbitrary violations Eleanor had been handing out for years. A neighbor who'd been fined for a bird feeder pulled out their notice and waved it in protest. Another who'd been told to repaint their door vowed to contest it. Soon a petition circulated to remove Eleanor from her position. Within weeks, she was voted out, replaced by a more reasonable neighbor who promised to focus on real community needs instead of policing patio chairs. As for me, my backyard became a bit of a symbol. Friends and neighbors often dropped by to sit on the very chairs Eleanor tried so hard to banish. Some joked that they were the most famous chairs in town. One evening, as I sat out with a few neighbors sharing drinks, someone raised a toast. To patio furniture and to standing up against nonsense. We laughed, clinking glasses under the fading sunset. In the end, what had started as a ridiculous battle over chairs became something bigger. It reminded all of us that rules should serve the community, not the ego of one person. It showed us that knowing your rights and refusing to be bullied matters more than staying quiet. And every time I sit in those navy blue chairs, I remember the day Eleanor called the police on me and learned the hard way that illegal actually has a definition. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful true stories. Thank you for watching Work Story, and see you in the next one.